Hello, I am Nani Pashmaquin, Feather on the Moon, and I am here at Ponkapog Pond, which is deep in the Blue Hills, and in the background you can see Great Blue Hill with the antennas on top of it, which kind of makes it look modern, but that's not why we're here. We're here because this is our ancient homeland, or at least the homeland of the people that came to be known as the Ponkapog people. We actually are the Massachusett. And I am descended from Nanipash, Met, Chickatawbit, Gitchamachin, Wampatuck, Widawamut, and Pecksuot. Widawamut and Pecksuot were the first leaders who ran afoul of the non-Indians and were slaughtered. But that's not my story. My story is to tell you about the duality of Native American people today. We live in two worlds. The world of the one that you are in, which is the everyday world, where it's filled with computers and cars and videos, and the other world, which is the spiritual world, which is made up of nature. Native people communed with nature, lived with the land, not just on it, but with the land. With the coming of the non-Indian people, the culture changed. The culture for my people changed, and hopefully the culture of the non-Indians changed a little bit, because they became, as we are today, a little bit more conscious of the environment and how we have to protect the environment. When I say most Native people live in two worlds. They have a foot in two worlds. In the old days, in the ancient ways, Native people lived with the land, found all of their sustenance from the land, and lived together in a communal way. I don't mean to imply that there wasn't without strife, because it certainly was. Human beings have not changed in the thousands of years that we've been on the earth. But generally, we lived with the earth, and most of our time was spent doing things in a natural way. The animals we hunted primarily for food. Their skins were used for clothing and other items. And most of the day was taken with converting that natural substance into a usable object. Whether it was an arrowhead that was chipped out of or struck with another harder rock to make it an arrowhead, or harder pieces of rock that were smashed together to make a tomahawk, or an axe, or a war club, or to make jewelry. Native people are Native people because they have decided to stay Native people. If you think about the culture that you live in today, after 300 years, there are still Native people who walk around you every day and attempt to live in some traditional ways. There are very few persons who can do that, because the sustenance cannot be taken from the land anymore. The large animals are gone. There are some deer around, but for the most part, bear are gone, and elk and caribou that used to be here are gone. The large trees are gone. So the people who live in a traditional way today have to make a conscious effort to do that. What I lost was my culture. I lost my ancestors. All of my ancestors, the ones I've named to you before, passed on without being able to share with me the stories, the legends, the myths, the reasons for existence. Native people in this area, and specifically the Massachusett, and possibly other tribal people in the area, have been forced to reinvent their history. History comes to us from living it, and in our case, as a spiritual people, it comes to us from the Creator. The Creator speaks to each one of us in a different way. The stories that you've heard about the animals speaking are true. The only way for you to experience that and believe it is to do it. Sometime when you're in the woods or someplace where it's quiet and you see an animal, and I see now a robin on a bush behind me, and I'm thanking the robin right now for coming to me and sharing his story with me. I'd have to concentrate to really understand what his story is, but each animal has a story, and each of us are able to interpret that story. All you have to do is quiet and listen.